only getting stung by a mosquito while you're trying to meditate. That is the least of your worries. And again, I know you've seen it around, but it is not recommended to go to the park and meditate, to go to the mall and meditate, to go to the forest, to go to the beach and meditate. These are not the spaces that you should be doing it unless. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the channel. My name is Mars Molina, and I am a professor of yoga spirituality, and I use these and other tools, such as Jyotish or Vedic astrology, to further support our lives and live a life of alignment with yourself, with spirituality, and the result of it, which is, of course, having health, having prosperity, and having a vision that can support your life as you go along. And this is our weekly long format video. If you're new to the channel, and you like this video and you find it interesting, you find it useful, but more importantly, you put it into practice and you see some results in your life, then I'll be very happy. And of course, if that is the case, I invite you to like, share, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these weekly videos that I'm recording. And you can also find me on all social media platforms that exist. Even the ones that I don't know that exist, I am probably findable there. So in today's video, I want to talk about following that thread, following that line of spiritual tips, tricks, and advice, things that we can do to further support, bolster, or scaffold our spiritual journey. So these are recommendations that I want to give to you. And even though I frame it as spiritual things, you may resonate with them even if you don't consider yourself a spiritual person, a yogi, a religious person. I still advise you to listen to these recommendations and put them into practice in your life, and you will see how they make sense. They make sense because they are common sense, and they are things that once you practice them, once you put them to the test, you can start reaping the fruits of that, which once again are the fruits of feeling in alignment, feeling in purpose, happiness, prosperity, and health. The first thing I want to start with is something a little bit controversial, and that is regarding meditation. And for many of you, this is not going to ring well because of what you've seen around in social media and out there in the wild. But listen, I am just a person. I am just a human. I've been studying these lines for a long time, and that gives me some experience and some knowledge. But even though I am just this person, I urge you to listen to this advice and once again, put it into practice. And the sooner, the better. And again, I know this is not going to sound like something you want to hear, but it is important. Meditation should not be practiced in the wild. Meditation should not be practiced out there in nature. Now, I know you've seen movies, you've seen people doing videos on social media, you've seen images on social media about that person always meditating in nature with the birds and the bugs and the trees. You've seen images of holy figures, whether they are Christian, Catholic, Sufi, yogi, whatever you call it, and they're meditating in nature and they're achieving a high state of enlightenment, and it looks amazing. But what makes you think that you are at the same level of these people? Meditating in nature is an extremely, extremely advanced thing. For the majority of you, it is actually not recommended to meditate in nature. Why? When you're meditating, you're disconnected completely from the physical world and you're entering an altered state of consciousness. This is a vulnerable state. Out there in the wild, out there in the world, there are certain experiences and certain things that when you are in that vulnerable state, you become exposed to it. And I don't mean only getting stung by a mosquito while you're trying to meditate. That is the least of your worries. And again, I know you've seen it around, but it is not recommended to go to the park and meditate, to go to the mall and meditate, to go to the forest, to go to the beach and meditate. These are not the spaces that you should be doing it unless you are an extremely experienced person or you are under the explicit guidance of a teacher. If you're on your own and you're starting your spiritual journey, you should not be exposing yourself to meditate. Think about what is out there in the environment. In nature, the environment is wild. It is untamed. This is why meditation is reserved for the people who are very advanced and they can go and meditate in nature. Outside of that, it is not recommended. Think about going to the mall. How many minds are active there? How many emotions, how many experiences are out there? When you're meditating, you're actually entering that psychic field and you become a recipient to it. So unless you're very masterful, you're going to be influenced by it and you will be none the wiser. So once again, it is not recommended to meditate in nature or exposed in the subway while you're waiting for the bus at the bus stop. It is actually not recommended. What you can do if you're waiting for the bus, if you're at the mall, you can do a breathing practice. You can be very present and just focus on the rhythm of the breath. That will enhance your ability to concentrate, your memory. That is excellent. You can practice being very aware of your space, but you should not try to enter a meditative state. Now, where should you meditate? It is good to meditate at home, of course. Why? Because it's a protected space, because your home loves you. Your home is a spirit, it's an entity, it's a building that knows about you and that it cherishes you. It wants to hold you, it wants to protect you. So in the same way, when you foster that, when you meditate at home, you're blessing also that space. This is why it is advised that you meditate at the same place, at the same time, day after day, as you are building your practice, because once you enter that room in which you are meditating, or that little corner that you may have, you'll be able to start feeling it. I've heard of people who are extremely devotional and extremely committed to the practice that even though they didn't have a space at home to meditate, they would put their mat in a corner of the kitchen and they would meditate. So no excuses, meditate at home. What are other places where you can meditate? Places that are designed and contained in a way that this can be allowed. So once again, not exposed, but maybe at a yoga studio, if they have a committed meditator guide and a meditation practice, there you can meditate. You can meditate at a church or at a temple. Even if it's from another culture, you can respectfully ask for permission to that particular spirit, to that particular entity, to that particular building, and you can enter and meditate. Some of you may just feel meditative as you are in there. Some of you may just enter spontaneously a meditative state just by entering these places. This is absolutely fine because, again, what happens is that is a contained space that is dedicated for that exploration of the soul. So that is why you should not meditate at certain places and you should meditate at certain other places. How will you know? Well, again, and I point to this very frequently, it is common sense. You have a common sense that allows you to know what is right and what is wrong. Put it into practice. A meditator, a spiritual person, is aware of this and they work hard on sharpening their common sense to the best of their abilities. So if you feel like that is a space where you should not be meditating, then you shouldn't be doing that. It just came to my mind because I think this question can come up. Is it okay to meditate at a funeral? No, you should not be meditating at a funeral. You can pray for the person. You can come into communion for the person and the people there. You can hold a prayer. Again, you can be very present. You can be aware of the breath, be aware of the room, be aware of the energy of the room, but don't meditate there. It is not the space for that. And there's another advice that I think could be relevant, but it's not on my script, so we'll see if we get there. So once again, don't meditate exposed. That's reserved for the masters or in the guide of your spiritual guide or your guru, and focus on meditating in the space that are allowed for that. A little note there, perhaps your yoga and meditation group does not have a committed space, and perhaps you meet at a restaurant, right? And you move the chairs and you have your dedicated practice there. Your guide, the person who is building this community, is doing a wonderful job, so it is okay to do it there. Because again, it is a protected space, and you can bet your bottom dollar that this person who is procuring this space for you probably also protects the space in a particular way. They meditate also, they put some incense, they do certain prayers, they ask for permission. They are probably doing things that, again, you have common sense. You will be able to perceive, yes, this person is creating something. If you're at a bar, right, and they want to use the bar for that dedicated space, it's going to take a lot of wash, a lot of cleaning the space, right, for you to remove that energy of toxicity, intoxication, and that particular altered state of consciousness of alcohol. So it's going to be more work. So if you are a guide, you should also pick the places masterfully, intelligently, so you can guide people into that particular state. So that is the first one. Number two, it's kind of related. Walking barefoot is extremely positive. It is extremely recommended because the feet are basically connectors. They are plugging you to the earth. And when you're walking barefoot, you can absorb a lot of beautiful energies from the earth. So while I say don't meditate in the forest and the beach, you are able to walk barefoot in these places. You may find, think about it, it is more natural to see people enjoying walking barefoot in the mud and in the sand and in the pebbles and in that wet sand where the ocean meets the beach. I forget what is called in English. That is natural. But when you see someone meditating, even as a meditator myself, I always saw it and I thought, that's a bit odd. I wonder what brought that idea to that person. And by the way, once you start meditating in nature, it is very hard to quit. And there's a reason for that. Think about it. But on the other hand, exposing yourself to nature, beautiful, powerful, correct thing to do. You'll notice that if you wear shoes and socks all the time, you're less grounded, you're less connected, you're less present. The more barefoot you are, the better. So of course, it's amazing to be barefoot at home. It is amazing to be barefoot in nature. However, keep in mind, there are places where you should not be barefoot, okay? You should not be barefoot in places where that is considered disrespectful. If you go to the Indian temple, they will actually ask you, hey, please be barefoot. Take off your shoes and come. Take off your hat and come. Why? Because they want you to absorb energy from the ground and absorb energy from the head. Not absorb energy from the head, I should say. Absorb energy from the ground to the feet, and then it becomes expedited, I forget the word, coming out from the crown of the head. So there's an energy flow that happens, and they want you to be that. If you go to a Christian church, Catholic church, here in Mexico, here in America, in the Western world, you're probably going to be asked politely, hey, please, young man, young lady, put your shoes on. Nobody wants to smell your stinky feet at the church. Why is it different? You don't make the rules, I don't make the rules, but it is. Actually, it could be interesting for me to explore if there is an astrological reason why in one place they do it one way and the other. But keep in mind that when you do visit a church in the Western world, they do ask you to take your hat off, okay? Keep that in mind. Here in Mexico, it is respectful. If you have a tour guide, they show you a temple, they say, please take off your hat. It is a sign of respect. And it's also good for you because there's an energy flow that happens. You get blessed by the Christ. You get blessed by God in your head. So it's a very good thing. So be exposed to nature, step on the mud. It'll allow you to feel grounded, present, energized. It'll bring life to you. But don't be barefoot in places where you should naturally not be barefoot. And I say this because I've seen it a lot. I've seen a lot of people who are into the spirituality, the yoga, all these things, and they say, look at how yogi I am. I am walking barefoot on the road, barefoot on the street. That, my friend, is extremely dangerous. Once again, think about the street. Think about my hometown, Guadalajara, 7 million people. 7 million people. How many saints do you think there are? Not that many. 7 million people going through 7 million different experiences in that metropolitan area. How many people have not the nicest thoughts, not the nicest experiences? How many people's karma do you want to be connected to? When you are walking barefoot, you're absorbing anything and everything is there. In the street, people, we just saw this morning, right? We wake up downtown Saturday morning, we go out to the street, and what do we see? It's very disgusting. I'm sorry to say this in my video, but you see vomit. You see a can of beer still spilling. You see someone's half-eaten food that they threw away at night because they were partying. Do you want to absorb that? That not just the filth, right? Yuck. But also the energy. What sort of energy do you think these people have, right? And I've seen this all over the world, right? I don't want to make Mexico look bad, but I've seen it in the States, I've seen it in Canada, I've seen it in Europe, that when you wake up after a Friday night, so Saturday morning, Sunday morning, you wake up, you walk downtown, you're bound to see these things. Sometimes you see the people early in the morning still kind of in the middle of wrapping up their, I don't know, party, if you can even call that a party. I don't think it's a party. I think it's just something else entirely. When you're walking barefoot, you are absorbing all these energies. And the people that I've seen in my life that walk barefoot in the road, in the street, all of this, I've seen them get lost quite often. And my prayer, my hope is that you don't do that. Protect yourself. If you are in a different location, different place, again, it's going to be different. When I've been in India, in certain sacred communities, you can't wait to be barefoot because that place is dedicated to it, right? I have my terrace here. I can walk barefoot there, right? Because it's a dedicated space, but I can feel the difference when I'm home and I can feel how powerful, how clean, how energized it becomes. So once again, know how to use your common sense and walk barefoot where you should, expose yourself to nature where you should, but don't do it where you shouldn't. Number three, and I think really I'm just driving home the point of common sense. Actually, maybe the tip and tricks should be just, hey, try to look for your common sense and you're probably going to do just fine. But number three, I want to talk about art. And I'll try to make a short video about this too later on to exemplify something. I'll try to put some examples here in the video. I don't know if I'll have time because I have to record a lot of stuff and do a lot of stuff tonight, but I'll try. Be discerning, use your common sense with art. That means watch out for what you're listening to. What are the lyrics of the songs that you're listening to? Because that is something that becomes a prayer. There is no such thing as a song that isn't a prayer. They're all prayers. So what you sing is what you're praying for. So please be very careful. If you sing all about this type of music that will really drop your consciousness and hypersexualize you and hyper disconnect you and make you violent and make you too emotional, like it's not going to help you. So be discerning with art. What are the lyrics of the music that you're listening to? Be very discerning, be very watchful, be very careful. What you can do instead, if you really like a song, change the lyrics. I know it can sound very cheesy, but if you have a song that has a very down lyric, you can change the lyrics absolutely to yourself and create. You can just completely change them or just create your own lyrics and let it be something that you want for yourself. On the note of being discerning and using the common sense for art, I also want to talk about visual art. You need to be watchful of what kind of energy does a certain painting, drawing, or art of any visual sort, what sort of energy imprint does it have in the environment? This is not to say that some art is good or bad. That's not so much my point, even though I do have my thoughts about modern contemporary art, but that's besides the point. Sometimes you see an art and it has a very strong, chaotic energy. Do you want to bring that energy to your life? If you see art that has a very aggressive vibe, understand that even if you're not directly looking at it, just by the fact that it's in the corner of your eye in the space, that is going to influence you in a particular way. So you need to be watchful of where you place what. At your home, it is ideal to have art that will evoke certain feelings. If it is your bedroom, then the feelings should be about pleasantness, rest, beauty, enjoyment, calm, sweet dreams. If it is at your office, the energy is a little bit more stark, sharp, inspiring, powerful, growth. If it is at the kitchen, it is more about creating an ambience to be able to cook with concentration and enjoy the food. The art in the kitchen should not take your attention too far away from the process of cooking and eating, because you need to be involved. The more present and involved you are in the process of cooking and the process of eating, the better your digestion will be. That's a tip within a trip. So we're doing tip within a tip. That's like inception of tips. The reason why this came to my mind is because I saw this painting of this bedroom, and it has an energy. I have to take a picture, actually. I don't think I can drive the point without showing a picture at some point in the video. But it is not that it's not pleasant. It is just that it looks like a city on fire. So when you sleep, it's right above the bed. When you sleep, that's what will come to you. That's the energy that it's giving you. So if you're an athlete and you're preparing for a competition, or you're a warrior, you're a soldier, you're a fighter, right? You're a boxer, and you're gearing for a competition, you probably would do well by placing that around you. Maybe not in the bedroom, but at least in the office, in the gym, 100%. It'll bring you that energy of victory and crushing your enemies and fighting hard. Absolutely, nothing wrong with that. But in the bedroom is going to create certain disharmony. Okay? So take a look around your home and see if there's a better arrangement that you can have for things, especially if you feel like things aren't flowing as well as, as they should or could. Maybe take a look and see what is around and see if you can make a little arrangement of things, and see what happens. All right, everyone. So that's all for now. Those are all the tips and tricks for today's video. If you find this interesting, if you find this helpful, once again, make sure to like and subscribe and share this video to people, post it around. That would be so amazing. That helps so much in the algorithm so more people can see this and benefit themselves from following. But more important is that you put these into practice. That would make me very happy because I'd rather hear from you 1 year from now and say, you know what, I did this and I saw the result. So take a time to reflect and apply these in your life. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have an amazing week ahead of you. Thank you.